and your welcomes shut for the time being, so that we can use all the connection and the bandwidth. If you have questions, please wait that Giancarlo finishes explaining. Then I kindly ask you to use, if you have questions, to kindly use the chat, so to write your question in the chat. Please note that we will only be able to consider questions that are general, so not questions related to your particular documents or your particular situations, because that will only be assessed by Ergo through the Scribici service. But if you have questions that you think would be interesting for everybody, for all the students who would like to apply for the Ergo benefits, please use the chat, okay?
Hi there, I'm Giancarlo Baldinotti from Ergo, which is the regional authority for the right to higher education in this region. As you're seeing, we give economic supports, scholarships, accommodation, catering, and so on. And anything must be applied for online, starting from the link you see at the below the page, at the last part of the page, HTTPS, service online, and so on. Please note that in this way, you can apply for the benefits we release, we supply, even if you want to apply just for the fee waiver of the University of Bologna. This is the right way to do it. The application form is divided into 4 sections: personal data, economic data, benefits, and no tax area. Once you have completed the first 2 sections, personal data and economic data, this way you will complete the no tax area section as well. If you want to apply for a scholarship, you have to fill out and complete the benefits section. Well, the first thing you have to understand is that you have to show your family's economic situation. This means you have to provide the documents released in your country and legalized by our embassy in your country. Documents concerning the economic situation of your family, its composition. By the word family, we mean all the persons who live under the same roof, in the same house. They don't include brothers and sisters who have married and have moved out of the original home. Just the people, even grandparents, or other kind of relatives, which live under the same roof. This is our expression. So you have to hurry up to prepare this paperwork, because the deadline for applying for scholarship is quite near. It's the September the 4th. Remember that these deadlines are mandatory. It's like a train. As you can jump on a train which is already running, you can jump on this train after the deadline. Try to have this very, very clear in your mind. Otherwise, you can lose all the benefits you could be eligible to. So here we repeat. I'm going to leave it on the screen for a short time, so you can even have a screenshot of it. Deadlines are mandatory.
Scusa Giancarlo, non vediamo le slide, non c'è più la condivisione.
I'm sorry.
Ok, perfetto.
You see it? Okay, so I repeat. Deadlines are mandatory. This means once expired, as I said, there's nothing you can do any longer. You have to fulfill some requirements. The first of it is enrollment. Even if you think you are or will be eligible to any kind of benefit, you have to pay 157.64 euros by the deadline set by your course. Then check on the Unibo website which is the exact deadline for your course, the course you're going to attend. Then, if you want to apply for a scholarship, the deadline is September the 4th. If you mean to apply for tuition fees waiver only, the deadline is at October the 31st. Then, keep in mind this deadline as well, only for people which live outside the country, who want to stay here and have applied for the scholarship. There's a very important deadline for self-certifying our domicile here. This means you have to prove that you stay here in the city where you're studying by paying a rent. And you have to first self-certify this and then to prove it by sending a document as a rent contract. The deadline for certifying this online is October the 26th. Keep in mind these deadlines because they are absolutely mandatory and they can be shifted on. So I'm going to give you some seconds left to take the screenshot if you want it. Then in this session, we are going to give you general information that you can apply. You can request a very personal information, for instance, the kind of documents you really need or other things, by writing to us, by contacting us. The best way to contact us is this. It's called Scrivici. Write to us. And this is the link. I display the link directly in English for your comfort. Any kind of personal information can be required from this link. Once you link there, you will find this screen, in which you either start a conversation, or if you have already started it and received the first answer, you can put the email you started with and the ID of the conversation which you received in our first reply. Then you can keep on talking with us. This is not chat line, and there's a while of time to get an answer. But anyway, you can keep on putting questions and receive answers in the same conversation. This way, you can have underhand all the sequence of answers and questions. Well, anyway, if you want to have a more complete survey about our general rules, about all the benefits we supply, and some tips, very useful tips, and some warnings, you can link to this website, www.go.it. If you click on the British flag, a page appears, which is called Ergo Welcomes You. If you scroll down the page, you find this title, Brochure for Fresh People 20,000, where you can find any kind of general information. Once you read them very carefully, you can write to us so that to have further details for your application. Repeating, you have to start now, yesterday. You have to start for preparing all the required documents. Then don't forget the deadlines to apply for the single benefits you can think you are eligible to. This is the general information. Now I'm at your disposal to give you further details if required. Thank you. point is, if you pay the enrollment fees, this means 157.64 euros by the deadline set by your course, which may differ. So check on the Unibo website, which is the exact deadline for your course. In the meantime, you can apply, even if you aren't enrolled yet.
Okay. Then Marina asks, the call for application says that the deadline for scholarship for non-EU student is September the 30th. Is it wrong?
That's not true. I can understand where you saw such information. The deadline for applying for scholarship is September the 4th.
Okay, so this is the same. Mohammed asks, I'm married. Shall I prepare the information about my parents and brothers or just my wife?
This is a kind of information which is not general. Please connect to Scrivici and you will get a personal answer.
Okay, then we have a question from Alexandra. Is the deadline of 14th of August not applicant to prospective students?
There is no deadline of 14th of August. The 10th of August is the deadline for the second or third or fourth year students to achieve the credits required. It's not for fresh people.
Okay. Sandeep asks, are the Ergo scholarships ranked upon financial basis or first come, first serve basis?
First come?
Chi prima arriva alla borsa?
No, there is a financial basis. Fresh people, on the basis of the economic condition they displayed, are ranked in a ranking list. As long as we have money, we pay. Usually we manage to, every year, we manage to pay every eligible student, but we can't promise this now. Because the summing up of funds which come from different ways, from different bodies of our government, is not ready in this period of the year.
A question from Aliowa. What about the COVID situation? What if our institutions in our countries are closed? How can we deal with that?
This is another question you have to ask about in Scrivici, because for any country we have different answers. So just write to us.
So, Victor, do I have to pay the enrollment fee only if I want to apply for accommodation?
Yes, it's the same. The date and the deadline for enrollment is mandatory. Anyway, if you are in the condition to apply for accommodation, there is no sense to apply only for it. Because in this case, you would pay by your own purse for the accommodation. So if you have the condition, economic condition, which makes you eligible for an accommodation, then do apply for the scholarship as well.
Just to make clear for Victor, the enrollment fee has to be paid in any case by the deadline. In any case, everybody has to pay 157 euros. Muhammad asks, what about the deadline for accommodation?
If you are a fresh person, deadline for accommodation is September the 4th as well.
Anna asks, should non-EU students receive ISEE certificate or it is enough to send the documents to Ergo?
ISEE certification is just for Italian people. You have to send the required documents and that's all.
Fernando asks...
Clara,
sì.
Riusciresti a mettermi in display, quindi che io lo possa vedere esattamente coordinandoti con la domanda che mi leggi? Per esempio in questo momento...
Sei tu che devi aprire la chat, eh?
Cioè, io la chat l'ho aperta, però non so a che punto è arrivata Clara.
Alle 14:23.
Perché non so perché, ma questo scroll funziona un po' malino. 14:23.
Fernando.
Tu dove sei arrivato, Giancarlo? Che cosa visualizzi?
Visualizzo Alessandra Vovciuk.
E devi scendere ancora un po'.
Clara. Sandeep Kumar, vedo.
Ancora?
Victor.
Sì,
Muhammad.
Ancora?
Anna.
Ecco,
Fernando.
siamo arrivati. L'ultima domanda è quella di
Fernando?
Sì, se vuoi anche leggerle tu e rispondere direttamente.
No, a me sembra molto buono questo sistema, Clara.
Se vuoi magari ci alterniamo.
Molto meglio di quello sperimentato con Pieraccini. Va benissimo.
E se vuoi magari, Clara, ci alterniamo, leggo un po' io. Così
sì, anche io, se volete leggo anch'io.
Fernando chiede, how do we know our application is completed?
Well, once it's completed, because you have once submitted the data required, you see a button named confirm i dati. You click on it, and that's all. If you haven't put an Italian mobile in the forms, you have to write to us to obtain it. You write to us by the system I showed before, and then we will send you a PIN. You will insert a PIN, and that's okay.
Rashid chiede, for the students coming from particularly poor countries, does the economic situation certificate issued by the embassy have a particular format? Quindi ai paesi particolarmente poveri.
No, but you can decide on your own if your country belongs to that list. So it's better if you write to us to check whether exactly you have to fetch this document.
Shezan invece chiede, if our family earns above the required ISE for the esonero tasse, is there any other scholarship we may qualify for?
No, there is none. But anyway, the threshold for the no tax area is quite high. And don't decide yourself. Just try to fill in the form, and the form itself tells you which benefits you can apply for.
Okay, one feedback for Shezan. You have to consider that there might be other scholarship made available by the university or by other bodies, which are not based or not fully based on ISE. So if you check our page on study grants, you might see if there is any particular scholarship you can apply for on the basis of other requirements. Passiamo poi alla domanda di Islam. You've said that the deadline for the scholarship will be on September the 4th. I'm asking regarding the deadline of submitting our ISE to Ergo in Italy will be on 30th of September. Quindi ritorna questo 30 settembre.
Deadline, I really can't understand where you find such a deadline. 30th of September, that simply doesn't exist. You have to apply online, confirming all the data by the 4th of September. Then you have just 3 days left to send online the documents required. Cancel from your mind this 30th of September. It doesn't exist.
Ok, poi Aviansh chiede, I have apostillated my scholarship documents and then translated them into Italian. Do I need to further legalize them by the embassy?
If you have apostillated the documents, you don't need to legalize them.
Domanda dopo un po' simile. I just want to know whether it is mandatory to all documents are legalized by Italian embassy. Is it any chance to send the legalized ones after deadline due to the crowded embassy at the moment in my country?
Write to Scrivici and ask if it's possible to do that. It depends on the country, it depends on so many different issues, so it's better if you write.
Mustafa chiede, do we need to send the documents by cargo?
No, this year, only this year, documents can be sent online. Maybe In some cases, Ergo has the right to ask them the original paperwork. But for now,
19 Italian embassy in my country is not taking application for student visa, and they will start processing visa application after some time. I must present there in Italy physically for legalization of my original documents and send them to Ergo office. How can I send my original documents to Ergo if I would reach in Bologna after the deadline?
An online sending can be done by anywhere you find an internet point, you can send your documents. So there is no reason to be in Italy, no need to be in Italy to send the documents in this way.
I also not sure what you mean, man. I must present there in Italy physically for legalization of my original documents. The legalization is not done in Italy. So I'm not sure. Maybe this is also something else that you can clarify with Scrivici. Mahdi scrive, what's the deadlines of sending hard copies documents?
For now, there is no deadline for sending the actual documents in paper. You have to apply by the 4th of September and then send online all the paperwork by the 7th of September, the 7th.
Ok, poi abbiamo Anand che chiede, is it mandatory to express the currencies in euro in the documents?
It's mandatory to express in euro in the online form. There is a converter of your currency in euros in the online form, but we accept the documents issued by your country's authorities in your own currency.
Ilya chiede, should I apply for the scholarship if I won't be able to come to Italy this year? Just to clarify, maybe Ilya, if you can write again, do you mean that you are not sure whether you are joining the university next year or if you are starting classes from abroad? Because come to Italy can be a little bit confusing. So maybe if you can write in another message if you mean starting classes online or not joining the degree program. Gyoti, when can we expect the result for the scholarship?
The first result are by the 26th of October. This means only eligibility. Eligibility means only be eligible to tuition fee waiver. Then to learn whether you are actually going to get money will happen by the first days of December.
Okay, Valeria chiede, could some information be combined in one document? I mean, if the number of months of work and information on income is combined in one document, will it be okay?
Can you repeat, please? Sorry, I had to.
Cioè se alcune informazioni possono essere combinate in più documenti, ad esempio il numero dei mesi di lavoro e le informazioni sul reddito, cioè se devono essere documenti separati o possono essere uniti.
You know, I'm going to say something which is useful for everybody. You have to understand that the information we required are given in different countries by different papers. So we can't list the papers we require. We list an information. It's up to you to learn which kind of documents of your country fulfill our need of information. This means that if in your country some information are given in 2 papers, you will give us 2 papers. If they give us just in 1 paper, you will give us 1 paper. Is that clear?
Diciamo che la checklist è per le informazioni, non per i documenti, sostanzialmente, no?
Sì.
Se capisco bene. Ok, poi Unish chiede come altri, should I translate financial document into Italian language?
Yes, you need this.
La prossima domanda forse è un po' da Scrivici. If our parents have been legally divorced or separated for decades, do we need to provide a divorce certificate and have it translated?
Yes, absolutely. You have to prove that the family has split, so that we can count on the people who still live in the same house.
Ok, poi Ben Saudi chiede, the deadline of the application is the same deadline of submitting the documents?
No, you have 3 days more to send the documents. Application online is the 4th of September. You have 3 days left. This means the 7th of September to send them online.
Ok, poi Ali chiede, does any of my documents for Ergo need to be verified by the embassy?
Documents must be legalized by our embassy, yes, in your country.
Salvo magari il caso dell'apostille, perché quello è un po'...
Yes,
forse...
in the case of apostille, we don't... Apostille, anyway, it's a way of legalization, so it's the same. Documents must be legalized.
Poi Valeria chiede, do we need an Italian phone number in order to complete the application?
It would be better, but it's not mandatory. You can give even no number, but once you have completed the submitting of data and have clicked on confirm the data in the application form, you have to write to us to ask for the PIN, which is needed to complete, to finalize the application.
Prossima domanda è di Vahid. Should we approve our documents at the consulate in Iran before we send them to Ergo?
No, we need a legalization by our embassy in your country. If you have problems to that, go to Scrivici and submit the problem.
Ruka, I read that the deadline of the accommodation for the fresh master students are August the 7th. Is it correct?
It's just for those who are already in accommodation. Fresh people is 4th of September.
Ebise chiede, could please explain further the self-certification of domicile? Like, for example, do I have to rent a house even if I apply for accommodation?
If you apply for accommodation and you get it, of course, you haven't to show us you are here in an accommodation of ours. The point, if you don't receive an accommodation, because as you can guess, we can give accommodations to anybody. It's a limited number. Once we have finished the bed places, people, if you want to sum up the top amount of scholarship, they have to rent an accommodation, a private accommodation, and demonstrate it to us.
Okay, the next question is from Louise, but I'm not sure exactly what she means. How much is the minimum necessary money that we need to prove? The minimum money, maybe you're asking to apply as an independent student or to apply for the visa, perché non c'è un minimo da dimostrare per fare domanda.
There is no minimum no. Unless you are...
Maybe if you... forse intende per gli studenti indipendenti.
Bravo.
If there is a particular situation which is that of the independent student, maybe if you mean that, please write in the chat so maybe we can look at your question. Omer, what if some of the required documents cannot be accepted by the embassy of my country, Sudan? What do you mean by cannot be accepted? Because the embassy is closed, because the documents are not complete. Maybe if you can clarify that, we will go back to your question later. Parvana, any changes with previous year yet, or are the same for now?
There's a lot of small changes. It depends on what you are referring to. Documents, deadlines, what are you talking about?
Yes, every year the call changes in various parts, so you have to, you don't even have to compare the old one with the new one. You have to look at the new one. If you have questions, maybe refer to the new one. For Luis, okay, proof, but we are waiting for maybe your feedback regarding what you mean by minimum amount of money. Shazan, thank you. Fernando, one more question. Do I have to book for accommodation even if I apply accommodation in benefits section?
No, it's not mandatory. It's your choice. If you're going, accommodation assignment of accommodation start on the 1st of October and the following days. If you are in Italy first, before that date, maybe you can try to find a free accommodation of ours and pay for it. But it's not a need, just your choice.
Chioti chiede una cosa che è già stata un po' toccata. Do we have to send the hard copies? If yes, then what is the...
It's not more than 50,000, then you will be able to apply for a scholarship. Otherwise, you will not. And you will apply just for no tax area.
Ok, poi abbiamo Cynthia che chiede, if you were accepted for the accommodation, but the school year starts on September 16th, we need to look accommodation for the first days while Ergo provides us with the benefits of the scholarship?
Yes, we need, because all the people of previous year can stay in their accommodation given by us until the 30th of September. So for those days, you have to look for your own.
Mariam Fatima asks, is that okay to send our documents by post? Or ancora sull'invio? Or this time there isn't any procedure of sending documents for benefits?
You can send them by post, but anyway, if you need it, but we think it's more comfortable to send them online, don't we?
For all the students,
excuse me, guys. Sorry to interrupt you. Can you hear me? I'm
yes.
not allowed to write in the chat box.
Speak then.
Okay. Thank you so much. There's an issue regarding non-resident students in terms of 10 months duration for accommodation.
Yes.
Could you please go details on it?
Well, if you haven't applied for accommodation, or if you apply but you are not summoned for assignation by the 30th of September, you will have to prove that you stay in Italy. For now, you have to declare 10 months in the city where you study, starting from the 1st October. This time span of 10 months is included in the time span from the 1st of October of this year until the 30th of September next year. For now, this is a general rule and we can't change it. But if we're going to change it, being under authorization of the national ministry, we will give notice on our website.
Okay.
Now, tell me.
Please go ahead, please.
No, for now, the time span is required is 10 months.
Okay, I got it. Because of COVID-19, some of the students could not attend the first semester in Italy. They will follow the courses online, and yes, I think it affects the scholarship amount and scholarship methodology, some kind of stuff. Thank you so much.
Anyway, and this is I can give you a general answer. In the time being, if you don't know already, if you have no notice from us, general notice on the website, for the time being, you can declare 10 months because the process of ensuring you are 10 months is divided in two parts. The first part is declaring it online by 26th of October. The second part is sending the documents by the 1st of February. So you first, if you on the last days about the 20th of October, you still have no place in Italy, you declare 10 months and then you will wait for our advice.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
That's nothing.
Okay, 3 very fast requests. Please stick to the chat if possible for all the students, otherwise we might have problems with the connection. I kindly ask you to also read the chat because my colleague is providing you with a lot of useful links of pages on the Ergo website. And when you're writing a question, please check if your question has been asked already. Maybe it has already been dealt with. Okay, Anna asks, I heard that if I had a degree, I want to get a scholarship. Forse è il discorso del se ho già un titolo dello stesso livello, potrebbe essere questo?
Anna,
non so, su questo. Anna Zwilling, 1436. I heard that if I had a degree, I want to get a scholarship.
It depends on the kind of degree you are enrolling to. This is a situation you better use riscrivici to clear it.
Maybe we can say as a general guideline, if you already have a degree in Italy of the same level that of the program you would like to enroll in, you cannot get the scholarship. Maybe we can say that. Che sia già un titolo italiano dello stesso livello, non lo può. Okay. Poi c'è di nuovo una domanda sul 30 settembre, ma più specifica. Anna chiede, it is written on the 13th page of the Ergo call for international students coming from non-EU countries, the deadline for sending the document is September 30th. So to which deadline non-EU students should stick to? Quindi farebbe riferimento a una pagina 13 di questa guida, questo bando.
Ma adesso ci guardo. Alex, I'll tell you later.
Anna, can you please send in the chat the link of the call that you mentioned?
No,
so
I'm going to do it.
Ah, ci guardi tu, perfetto. Rashid chiede, for the full submission of the application, we need to receive the PIN code. Is it possible to receive it through Gmail address, or we should only receive it by mobile number in Italy?
You can write to Scrivici once you have completed the application, and we'll give you the PIN.
Louise chiede, how to proceed if I'm going to finish my studies on school at November, December 2020? I already have school documents saying that I'm going to finish the 12 years needed at the end of this year. But maybe this is a question more connected to admission procedures than to Ergo. Meaning that for enrollment I suppose you have you are completing high school and you are going to finish a 12-year path. Depending on the call and depending on the situation, we have to verify if you obtain the qualification within the deadline set by admission to that program or not. Maybe for that question, if it's more related to admission, you can write us to International Desk from your Studio Unibo IT account, specifying which is the program that you are interested in, and we will check that with the student office. If it's a question related to Ergo, maybe you can write it to Scrivici. Muhammad asks, for the ones who only want tuition reduction, the deadlines for submission of documents in 3 days is in 3 days after October the 31st?
No, after September. Tax area, it's a different issue. The tax area application, if you haven't applied for a scholarship, expires on the 30th of October. Then you have some more days to send the documents.
Alexandra chiede, which currency rate is used for calculation? For 2019 year or for 2020? Quindi per la conversione forse.
Just stick to the converter in the application form, which under the law is established by a national law, and it's the average rate of exchange for last year, which has been established by Bank of Italy. So you don't try to convert them or sell yourselves on the basis of the present rate of exchange. Stick to the converter, please.
Sandeep chiede, if any freshman gets hostel via Ergo, then how can we produce the certificate of domicile before the deadline of October 26th?
If he is assigned, if he's given accommodation from us, he doesn't need to make such self-certification, because we already know that he's already in our residence.
Eski chiede, do we have to have an Italian bank account and SIM card because of the COVID? I would like to attend classes online, at least for the first semester, for this semester. But if we have to have an Italian bank account done before first installment, I will have to go to Italy. Quindi è necessario un conto italiano?
Yes, but in this case, you will simply wait for money until you come to Italy and can open a bank account or withdraw the prepaid card we can issue on request.
Adeola chiede, can fresh students attending Ravenna campus apply for accommodation scholarship? Forse si può dire magari anche per interesse di tutti che non c'è, perché magari lo sanno.
We have no Ergo accommodation in Ravenna, so you can't apply for accommodation which doesn't exist.
Ma lui chiede apply for accommodation scholarship, cioè se magari c'è un fondo specifico.
No, you in this case, provided you fulfill the requirements for self-certification of domicile and have a regular contract, you will get the non-resident amount of scholarship, which is quite higher. To wait for being in Italy, open a bank account, or having a withdrawing our prepaid card, and then if you are a recipient of a scholarship, you can get its first installment.
Ruka chiede, if you're living separately from parents and living alone, I need to prove only my income in 2019, sempre un po' di indipendenti, credo.
Well, this is the exact situation you have to explain in Scrivici, and we'll get your personal answer, because it's a little bit complicated to tell it now. You have to tell to Scrivici, in Scrivici, exactly your situation. Usually, normally a student has been, it's a problem to explain now. I prefer you have a written answer about that.
Ebise, due to COVID-19, the foreign minister in my country is not validating the documents for now. It is sufficient to validate the documents at the embassy in my country without going through foreign minister. I don't think it would be possible for the embassy of Italy to validate any documents which has not been pre-checked by the relevant ministry. But
go to Scrivici and explain the detailed situation in your country.
Andrea Maria chiede, my parents live in Canada and it is hard to get the documents with all the information required by Ergo. The embassy advised me to ask you, can accept a statement made to a notary in Canada and legalize it by the Italian embassy?
No. We need the Canadian documents.
Sayed Mohammed, is the process of tuition fee waiver and accommodation different? By one application, both of them are fulfilled?
The application is divided in some sections. The first section is your personal data. The second section is economic data. Once you have completed these two first sections, the application for no tax area, that means the fee waiver, is completed. Then, if you are in the condition of applying for a scholarship, you have to fill out the benefits section.
Avianch chiede, after the rank gets published, what is the next process? Do I need to come to Italy and complete some formalities in person because I'm able to come to Italy in December? So what is the process?
The first thing, you have to remember that we don't give any money before the first days. We don't state you are right to receive the money before the first days of December. And actually, you will give money if you have already enrolled very early, by Christmas, let's say the last days of December. But the most important thing, if you remember, to enroll by paying 157.64 by the deadline set by your own course. This is the main point of the process.
Mustafa chiede, how can we get PIN?
If you have no Italian mobile nor a PEC Italian PAC, once you have completed the application, you write to us in Scrivici, and then we will give you the PIN.
Alexandra, do we need a proof that we don't possess any movable assets?
Yes, we need it. If you have no movable assets, we need a statement from your fiscal or tax agency in your country, then you haven't such assets.
Jyoti, if the earning member is only the candidate itself, but doesn't qualify to be independent member, then in this case, whose income needs to be presented in the bank statement?
If the earning member is only the candidate.
Cioè, penso che intenda uno studente che di fatto sta da solo ma che non raggiunge il reddito per essere considerato come indipendente. Quali redditi?
This is the typical question you have to put in Scrivici, detailing your personal situation, so that to get a personal answer.
Shazan, please refer to the link that my colleague Clara sent you after your question, because you ask if you do not qualify on basis of the EASA as mentioned earlier. Would any other scholarship we may qualify for through UniBoergo be applied automatically? No. If there is another scholarship you're interested in, you have to check the relevant call and apply yourself within the deadlines with all the mandatory requirements. Aviansh chiede, how does the accommodation work for Ravenna campus? Because I heard there is no ergo accommodation in Ravenna, so do we need to pay ourselves?
Well, it's good to clarify that even students who receive an accommodation will pay for it. The only difference, if they pay from their own purse only the first 3 days, 3 months of accommodation, then the remaining fees are curtailed from the scholarship. So everybody pays for accommodation. If you haven't an ergo accommodation, you will pay from your own purse, helped by our scholarship if you get it, for the private accommodation you have got.
Abdullah chiede, hello, the scholarship deadline is September the 4th. Is the deadline for uploading the documents online or for you to receive the paper documents by post in Italy?
The deadline for uploading the documents is September the 7th, whereas the deadline for applying online, completing the application form, is the 4th of September.
Ali chiede, what happens if we don't get the fee exemption scholarship? Can we still participate in online courses until we reach Italy before November 16th?
This is an issue for Unibon.
Yes, probably the question is, I mean, in order to attend courses, I mean, some information regarding enrollment procedures from abroad for 2020-21 have yet to be, have not been finalized yet. However, as a general rule, you have to pay tuition fees which have not expired by a certain date. So if you do apply for a certain benefit, but you don't get that benefit, so you have to pay the full fees, you have to pay the fees which have not expired by that date. Ok, poi per ecco, Artyom ha mandato il link dove appunto a pagina 13 si parla del 30 di settembre.
Sì, ma se controlli un attimo, io purtroppo non riesco a espandere la pagina, la vedo piccolissima. È una cosa che riguarda la nota Axaria. Controlla anche tu un attimo, perché
dopo magari la apriamo e ci guardiamo. Sujai fa alcune domande, dice have apostille both family income and bank balance certificates. So I further need to legalize from respective embassy consulate? Prima domanda.
No.
Seconda domanda. Ok. Vai a rispondere a questa intanto?
Well, it depends even on the original documents which have been apostilled, in which language they are. Because we can check apostilled documents in English, maybe in French, not in other language. If you have to translate from another language, you have to legalize the translation.
Ok, seconda domanda. Translate of apostille documents still in process. Is it okay to upload non-translated documents if the deadlines are closed?
You can try it, but I can reassure it they will be accepted.
Ok. Terzo quesito, please share the email address spelling to write for PIN. Forse vuole il link per scrivici. We have already written the scrivici email address before. It's not an email address, it's a link. You have to register there to start a conversation or go on with a conversation with the ergo operators. Aviansh, if we pay for the accommodation ourselves, does ergo pay us back? And yes, does it pay every month or annually?
What?
Se pagano da soli l'accommodation, chiede se c'è, does ergo pay us back? Penso intenda se c'è una sorta di rimborso. And if yes, does it pay every month or annually?
Lui chi è? Aniash?
Sì, 14,55.
Aspetta che lo trovo. If you take a private accommodation and you are a recipient of a scholarship, this amount is helpful to pay the rent, but you have to pay your private accommodation by yourselves.
Which provides me an IBAN number for Euro accounts, but I do not have a well-established bank account yet. Is it enough to receive scholarship amounts?
This is a question you have to put through Scrivici.
Okay.
So that we can answer to it from our economic office.
Okay, thank you.
Provo a fare la condivisione da Chrome.
Vuoi che provi io, Pier? Se vuoi ce l'ho pronta.
Ah, beh, se non va questo tentativo, direi che farei fare a te, sì. Sì. Sì, se ci riesci tu.
Giancarlo, I think the students refer to this part.
Yes, I'm reading it. Well, so the explanation is this. First, this rule regards only people coming from non-European countries, not European community countries. Then it's always better to write to us, explain which country you belong to, because it's up to us to decide, to control, to check if the procedures for entry, stay, and enrollment on university AFAM countries is busy, has problems. So don't decide this by yourself. The general rule is to send in documents by the 7th of September. But if you meet any problems, write to us before the deadline of September 7th, and tell us if it's possible, ask us if it's possible for you to shift the deadline on. Is that right? I hope so.
Ok, andiamo avanti. Adarsh chiede, what is the deadline of submitting documents for accommodation scholarship in Bologna for first-year master students?
As usual, the 4th of September for application and the 7th of September for sending the documents online.
Vahid poi ancora chiede, is there any difference among rental home or if we have our own home in calculating the amount of scholarship?
The amount of scholarship is established on the basis of two different parameters. The first is your economic condition. The second, if you are able to prove that you are paying for a rent, no matter how do you pay for a rent. If you pay for a rent and you demonstrate it, you will get the top amount related to your economic condition.
E Caterina chiede, if my parents are divorced and one is married, should I state both my mother's and my stepfather's income or only my mother's?
If your stepfather lives with you, you have to state both incomes.
Poi Abdellah fa una domanda un po' specifica, un po' da scrivici. Kiran, when will be displaying scholarship merit and when will be disbursed? Can university provide to every student scholarship? For the second question, no, because the university does not provide scholarship itself unless you have applied for a scholarship managed by the university. Ok.
Ma io vedo Abdellah.
No, ma Abdellah gli ha risposto Clara che è una domanda da scrivici. Chiedeva.
Ok. Quindi siamo a
Iran.
Kiran. Let me see exactly. When will be displaying scholarship merit and when will it be disbursed? Allora, the first is, by the 26th of October, we publish the provisional ranking lists. In this list, we just state you are eligible to a scholarship. This doesn't mean to be sure they will be actually disbursed. So this eligibility just ensures you are entitled to fee waiver, provided you pay the first installment and you enroll by the right deadline. By the first days of December, we will state if you will be actually a recipient of a scholarship or not. Usually, in the last years, we are always managed to pay all the eligible students, but we can't say it now.
Passiamo poi a Vahid. What is the deadline for 157 euros payment? This depends on the degree program. If it's a restricted access degree program, the information is in the call for application. Otherwise, it's on the university portal. So it depends on the program. Sandeep, the thing is the deadlines for domicile certificate and ergo scholarship results are announced on the same date, the 26th of October. Gli dice che le deadlines per l'autocertificazione e i risultati della borsa di Ergo sono annunciati lo stesso giorno, il 26 ottobre. So it's better to get a room and certificate beforehand.
If you apply for accommodation on Ergo, you will know by the first days of September if you got it or not. So you have a month to declare your private accommodation. Even if you don't know already if you will get a scholarship, that's your own risk.
Una domanda da Luis che non capisco molto. How much is the minimum necessary familiar economic rent per year, assuming that Italian government will pay the difference? Why should the Italian government pay the difference?
Italian government is not going to pay any difference. We can understand your question exactly.
Luis, I think you have maybe you have a specific questions regarding your situation, so I think it's best to pose it through Scrivici, okay? Because maybe it's clear to you what you mean, but it's important that maybe it's addressed by Ergo individually. Artyom chiede, in documents there is codice fiscale. We should get it online where non-EU students can find the website and instruction about it. Forse è meglio che si registrino con lo stesso account.
When you register, the first thing, if you have already registered to for getting the Unibo credentials, you have already obtained a fiscal code. Use that fiscal code.
Okay, you have to keep in mind that the fiscal code that is calculated by Student Online is not the official fiscal code. To get the official fiscal code, you can either sometimes get in touch with the embassy of Italy in your country, sometimes they do that, but most commonly the procedure to get the official codice fiscale is through the Italian Agenzia delle Entrate when you arrive in Italy. Okay, so maybe the official one will be the same one on your Student Online profile, but it's not necessarily the case. Ravana, is there any document info missing? If there is any document missing in application documents, can be amended later, or will we be rejected to get the scholarship?
It depends on the how this lack is severe. Sometimes we accept further submittings, sometimes not. So try to be ship-shape from the first time.
Una domanda da Philip. In my country, Nigeria, they don't issue the financial documents required by Ergo, and the embassy hasn't even opened. Però forse la Nigeria, non so, da verificare se uno dei paesi particolarmente poveri, no? Magari che possa...
Right to Scrivici is the best way.
Alexandra, how to learn the amount of the tuition fee reduction beforehand?
You can't. You simply can't. Because the Unibo is calculating, if you are applying for a scholarship, you can be, by the end of October, you will learn if you're eligible to a scholarship. In this case, you know you won't pay further fees. If you can't apply for a scholarship, you will know it by the end of November, the first days of December. by the website Studenti Online, because it's calculated by Unibo.
Pankai chiede, if anyone has not completed his/her undergraduate and waiting for...
If you're going to master degree, this field is required. You just make a number of 2-digit number as you like. What you think you will get. Don't worry for that.
Arsema, I have already filled the economic data in Ergo, specifying the amount in Ergo with the current exchange rate. Do I have to refill in the data specified before accounting for the rate on the site? Quindi forse non ho usato il convertitore
It would be
ufficiale.
better if you delete the economic section and fill it out again with using the converter, because the current exchange rate could be not too useful.
Then Saudi, if further documents are needed by Ergo, can we add them even after the deadline?
Which? Come si chiama questo?
Ben Saudi, 1508. Ecco, una cosa forse molto importante, l'hai detta prima, ma da ribadire, di consultare sempre il dossier studente per vedere se ci sono delle richieste di integrazioni. Sì. Non so se vuoi magari segnalarlo tu in inglese. It's important for all the students to check on the dossier studenti if there is any communication by Ergo.
On our website, in few hours after your application is completed, a personal dossier called the dossier studente is generated. We highly recommend to always check, even in this first month, always check this dossier studente to see whether there are personal communication from us.
Luis chiede, what is the minimum income that my family has to prove that that we are able to afford university fees? Maybe this is a question for the consulate, because if you are a non-EU student applying for a visa, there's an amount of money which is usually about 6,000 euros per year to verify if you're eligible for the visa. But each consulate has its own frameworks, its own procedures, so you have to check with the consulate what are the documents you have to prove to them, with them, to show that you have you and your family have the financial resources to support yourself and to apply for a visa. Abbiamo ancora forse una decina di minuti, vado avanti, poi mi fermi tu quando...
Sì, ma io sono disponibile anche oltre, vedi tu.
Ok. Evin chiede, I will collect my application documents in Turkish and get apostilled. Then they will be translated into Italian by a sworn translator. After that, do my documents require any other legalization like notary process and second apostille? When I asked this question to Scrivici, they told me a single apostille bearing the stamp of the Hague Convention is enough. Is it correct? Quindi si è già rivolto a Scrivici.
If they answer this way, you can stick to this answer.
Diansh ancora chiede, while filling the Ergo scholarship, it's asking for bank account details. Should I submit my Indian bank account? Because I do not have an Italian bank account yet.
You just choose prepaid card to be issued and go on.
Poi Pandugan dice una cosa, but I don't understand exactly what Pandugan mentions. Olufemi, hi, after submission of the Ergo application, if there was a problem with the documents and application, would we be contacted to make adjustments, or will the application be automatically rejected?
It depends on how much severe is the lack of documents, because sometimes we accept integration, sometimes we don't. So it's better if you stick to the rules and submit all the required documents from the first time.
Augusto Armindo, I've already filled the economic data on Ergo, and then I uploaded my family income in Portuguese. But when I try to upload my familiar income translated, it doesn't work. Magari anche questo è un problema tecnico da Scrivici.
When I uploaded the family income in Portuguese, but when?
Sarebbe un problema di caricamenti.
It's better if you write to Scrivici, yes, Augusta.
Jyoti, if we get the accommodation scholarship Ergo, but due to some circumstances we are not able to present at the same time, can we ask for extension within a particular month? Will the extension be considered? What are you not able to present? This is something maybe also for Scrivici.
Yes, this is a typical question to put in Scrivici. Of course, try to do it before the deadline.
Sayed Mohammad, when is the result of scholarship announced?
Provisional scholarship, 26th of October. Pre-definitive scholarship ranking list by the first days of December.
Ok, direi che abbiamo finito le domande. Non so se tu vuoi dire qualche cosa al finale, insomma, chiusura.
Well, I just recommend you a few things. The first thing is stick to the deadlines. The second thing is stick to the documents. Try to be more precise than usual. Collect all the documents by the deadline. And third, don't forget to enroll by paying 157.64 by the deadline set by your own course. These three things are mandatory. Don't miss them. And welcome to Italy.
Okay, for the last questions, please refer to the guide to application announcements and mainly to the call. And for all the other questions, please check.
Pier. Mandali sulla brochure for fresh people perché la guide è troppo lunga e complicata.
Beh, però è già una sintesi del bando, secondo me.
Proprio per quello, è una sintesi.
No, ma dico già la guide è un po' una sintesi del bando, cioè la brochure è importante. Ok, please
la
check.
Brochure è better perché è una sintesi più chiara. La guide è un pippone che...
No, magari facciamo una cosa, se tu hai piacere, dopo la fine di questo incontro, tanto l'elenco degli iscritti ce l'abbiamo, se tu vuoi mandarci un brevissimo messaggio con 2 o 3 informazioni delle cose che vuoi che giriamo agli studenti, poi dopo noi le giriamo agli studenti, capito? Anche proprio...
io la cosa migliore che puoi fare è, se vuoi mandare un messaggio a tutti questi studenti, allegagli la brochure.
Okay. Beh, magari mettiamo direttamente...
Excuse me.
Yes.
Is it possible to ask just 2 more questions?
Let's hear them.
For the end. Okay?
Yes, for me it's okay.
Okay, so... Yeah, okay. So first question is, if a grandparent counts as a family composition, if she lives with family? Yes. Okay, so if it's same address and everything, yeah? And then her income also counts into income.
Their income account for the general income, but the general income includes them when we divided the general income for the number of members. So the two things compensate each other.
Okay, thank you. And the second question is, so some embassies are willing to issue like summarized documents of financial situation. So it means that, does it mean that we don't need to translate every financial document to Italian for Bologna University, if embassy is willing to issue summarized document in Italian?
If our embassy in your country issues something which is a summary,
okay,
and they legalize and stamp this summary, we accept it.
Okay, so it's good.
Because the point is that our embassy is entitled to certificate your situation.
Okay, so if in that case, so then one document is enough, like a summary of everything, yeah?
Però forse è importante precisare che non è sempre il discorso dell'un documento, è se quel documento dell'ambasciata contiene tutte le informazioni necessarie.
This document in any case should contain all the information we require. That's why we address you to the brochure where we explain the information required. Then it's up to you to check whether the documents bears such information.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
That's nothing.
Okay.
For any other question, refer to Scrivici. and you will get an answer in a couple of days.
Thank you.
Thank you to you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
I kindly ask you, we thank you on behalf of the University of Bologna. We are very happy that you managed to take part in this presentation. Please leave the chat, please leave the meeting, and we will be in touch with you for the next welcome sessions. Okay? Have a nice day or a nice night.
Have a nice day. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you.